Mr. Eric, and today we're going to be doing Toys for Tales. I hope you enjoy all of these fun crafts and stories we have for you today. This book is called I Wanna Iguana by Karen Kaufman Orloff. Dear Mom, I know you don't think I should have Mikey Gulligan's baby iguana when he moves, but here's why I should. If I don't take it, he goes to Stinky, and Stinky's dog, Lurch, will eat it. You don't want that to happen, do you? Signed, your sensitive son, Alex. Dear Alex, I'm glad you're so compassionate, but I doubt that Stinky's mother will let Lurch into the iguana's cage. Nice try, though. Love, Mom. Dear Mom, did you know that iguanas are really quiet? And they're cute, too. I think they're much cuter than hamsters. Love, your adorable son, Alex. Dear Alex, tarantulas are quiet too, but I wouldn't want one as a pet. By the way, that iguana of Mikey's is uglier than Godzilla. I just thought I'd mention it. Love, Mom. Dear Mom, you would never even have to see the iguana. I'll keep his cage in my room on the dresser next to my soccer trophies. Plus, he's so small, I bet you'll never even know he's there. Love and a zillion and one kisses, Alex. Dear Alex, iguanas grow to be over 6 feet long. You won't have enough space in your whole room, much less on your dresser, with or without the trophies. Love, Mom. Dear Mom, it takes 15 years for an iguana to get that big. Mikey told me. I'll be married by then and probably living in my own house. Your smart and mature son, Alex. Dear Alex, how are you going to get a girl to marry you when you own a 6-foot-long reptile? Love, your concerned mother. Dear Mom, forget the girl. I need a new friend now. This iguana can be the brother I've always wanted. Love, your lonely child, Alex. Dear Alex, you have a brother. Love, Mom. Dear Mom, I know I have a brother, but he's just a baby. What fun is that? If I had an iguana, I could teach it tricks and things. Ethan doesn't do tricks. He just burps and poops. Love, grossed out Alex. Dear Alex, how do I know you're ready for a pet? Remember what happened when you took home the class fish? Love, Mom. Dear Mom, if I knew the fish was going to jump into the spaghetti sauce, I would have never taken the cover off the jar. Love, your son who has learned his lesson. P.S. Iguanas don't like spaghetti. Dear Alex, let's say I let you have an iguana on a trial basis. What exactly would you do to take care of it? Love, Mom. Dear Mom, I would feed him every day. He eats lettuce. And I would make sure he had enough water. And I would clean his cage when it got messy. Love, responsible Alex. P.S. What's a trial basis? Dear Alex, a trial basis means Dad and I see how well you take care of him for a week or two before we decide if you can keep him forever. Remember, Stinky and Lurch are waiting. Love, Mom. P.S. If you clean his cage as well as you clean your room, you're in trouble. Dear Mom, I really tried to clean my room and the iguana's cage. Also, listen to this. I'll pay for the lettuce with my allowance. I mean, how much can one baby iguana eat anyway? Love, Alex, the financial wizard. Are you sure you want to do this, Alex? Yes, Mom. I wanna iguana, please. Dear Alex, look on your dresser. Love, Mom. What do you think's gonna be there? Yes! Thank you. I hope you've enjoyed I Wanna Iguana by Karen Kaufman Orloff. Hello everyone, and this is the instructional on how to make the dog toy craft. So I'm going to I have the camera pointed down at the table so you can see what I'm doing as I do it. So in your kit, you should have a t-shirt and a water bottle full of water. You're going to want to make sure you drink the water, and then you're going to need a pair of scissors. You want to make sure the scissors can cut through this t-shirt material. So once you have your water bottle empty, you can go ahead and peel off the label. I'm going to do that here. If you can't get the label off, it shouldn't be a big deal because it's going to be covered by the t-shirt anyway. So I'll put that aside and put the water bottle aside because we won't need that for a little while. So once you do that, you'll have your t-shirt laying flat, and then you're going to want to cut it just below the the armpits right here. And I'm going to cut a straight line across. Here we go. And you want to cut through both layers of fabric and just cut all the way across. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight. So I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to lay it aside because we're going to have another craft to do with that later. Once I have my rectangular piece here, as you can see, I'm going to cut 2 strips from the bottom, which will make 2 loops. Again, we're going to cut through both pieces of fabric. Make sure your t-shirt is laid out flat here. So I'm going to cut 1. Again, doesn't have to be a perfect straight line or anything even close. Oh, I even messed up mine a little bit there, and that's okay. And then I'm going to cut a second loop right here. And you want it like a 1/2 inch or 1 inch across. You can measure it if you want, but an approximate amount will do. All right. And hopefully, unlike me, we'll have 2 loops and not just 1. But even if you only have 1 and this long piece, that will be fine too. So there we go. So I accidentally cut mine into 1 very long piece. So what I'm going to do is just cut it into 2 pieces. Because we're going to need it in 2 pieces anyway. So once you have 2 long pieces, about like that, that'll be good. And you can set those aside. And then you're going to want to take your bottle, and you should have a loop, a giant loop of fabric here, like so. So you want to lay it flat and put the bottle inside the loop and put the bottle all the way to one end, like this. So I have my bottle all the way there at one end. Then once I have it like that, I'm going to take both sides and fold it over like so. And then I'm going to take one of my loops, and you can see it's just folded over each side like that, 2 folds right around like that. And there we have that. I'm going to take one of my strips and I'm going to put it around this end, leaving a lot. And I'm just going to tie it tight, like so. Tie it pretty tight because you don't want your dog to get it loose right away. They may eventually, and you want to make sure every time you let your dog play with the toy that it's in good shape for that. And you know, there aren't pieces they're going to choke on or things like that. But so once you have that, you can cut off the extra. I'll cut that right there, and then you're going to take it again and do another tie right here. And so again, we'll do it nice and tight. Like so. That, and again, cut off the extra. You could leave a little longer if you want. And it doesn't have to be perfect. So once you have it like that, we have one tie up here, and then one here. And then you're gonna feel around for the neck of the bottle. So we're going to find that, and that's right about here. And I'm going to tie another piece there. So we're going to tie that really tight like that. And again, you can cut the extra off. None of this has to be perfect. So once you have those pieces on, my top one is a little close, so I'm going to pull it down. There we go. So we have the tie here, tie there. Then we have the long part here. So what we're going to start doing is cutting strips in this section, approximately 1/2 inch to 1 inch wide. It doesn't have to be perfect at all. Mine is going to be quite imperfect, I can tell you. And just cut a good majority of the way up. As far as you can. And just repeat that. And like so. Oop. And make sure you're cutting through both pieces of fabric. And there's a diagram on your instructions to show you how to do this. So just follow that. You could do them wider if you don't want to cut quite as many, or you can do them smaller if you want to spend a while doing this, because eventually we're going to braid them and make little dangling pieces that will hang down. Try to, you can see mine are very uneven and imperfect, so, and I don't think your dog's gonna mind at all. one here. Just gonna cut this one into about 3s, I think. And you can see these are very not straight and not perfect. So once you get all of your strips cut here, the next thing you're going to want to do is, because they'll be rounded like this, you're going to want to just cut it in half. So you have long dangling strips. So, and do it like that, and like that. And that one looks like it's cut already. Probably because I didn't do it quite right. So, cut just like that. Goes pretty quickly. And there's another one. And did I get them all? I think I have 2 more here. One really long one. I'm just going to cut it shorter right now. Okay. So the next part we're going to do is braid these legs and tie them off. If you don't want to braid or don't know how to braid, you could just take them in chunks like this and just tie some knots, and then you wouldn't have to braid at all, and you can have some long dangly things that your dog will enjoy. If you want to braid, you're just going to choose 3 of these little pieces, and you will braid them. I'm going to include a braiding tutorial that's on YouTube along with this, and you can watch that. So, or you could do a combination. You could braid some, you could just tie off others. You know, again, I don't think your dog or the dog friend you're going to give this to is going to be that picky about it. So you can just do a few at a time, or, you know, 1 at a time, however you want to do it. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. So I have 3 pieces here. I'm going to braid those real quick. And I am probably the world's worst braider, but I will give it a try anyway. And we'll see how it ends up. So, braid, 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 braid. It's not too bad looking, but we will see how this goes. And go from there. So once you get to the end, braiding, just, you know, tying a little knot there, like so, like that. So this one, I'm just going to do some ties, and I'll mix it up a little bit. So I'm going to tie that in one, and then tie that in another, like so. I got 2 knots there, and I'm going to make a 3rd one. Just string it out a little bit. And you you can make it and try to make it look as perfect as you'd like, or I'm not that worried about it. I don't think my dog, Coco, will care that much about it. So I'm gonna braid, what do we got here? So I'm gonna braid these ones here. It's a pretty sloppy braid. As you can see, my strings are all different lengths, so it's far from perfect. So don't get hung up on that. And then I'll tie a knot in the end again, like so. There we go. What have we got left here? So it looks like I only have 2. So if you get to a point like this where you only have 2 left, you could cut this one into 2 if you want, or just do the tie shortcut again, or have one that's tied and the rest aren't. So just like that. Pretty cool. As you can see, you get a lot of little fabric bits on the table. Maybe you can't see it in the camera, but there's a lot of fabric bits there, which you'll need to clean up. Oh, there I had a stray one. Again, didn't really matter. So I'm just gonna make some knots in it, and it'll be fine. So there's that. Now, once I have all my little strips ready, like so, so the top of the bottle is right here, and I'm going to take another tie. I have this other piece left here, and I'm just going to tie it right above the nozzle of the bottle, if you can see there. So we're just going to tie it like so. There's that. Tie it tightly. And ta-da. And you might have extra of the string part left over. You can set that aside for later, for when you're making the other crafts, as you might need that. But as you can see, you got a fun little toy. If your dog's anything like mine, it will have a crackly sound there. I'm gonna cut off this extra long piece. I'm gonna save it for later, for my other crafts. And it's all ready for my dog to play with. And there's some nice tuggy things there, and the crackling sound of the bottle. So enjoy that, and I hope your dog enjoys it as well. Thanks. This book is called Those Darn Squirrels and the Cat Next Door by Adam Rubin. Old Man Forkwire lived on the edge of the forest just outside of town. He was a terrible grump, and in the wintertime he was even grumpier than usual. Whenever it snowed, he would shut his eyes tight and think of summer. He missed sunshine, suntan lotion, and weenie roast, but most of all, he missed the birds who flew south when it got cold. During the long, lonely winter months, the only critters left in Forkwire's backyard were the squirrels. Now, not many people know this, but squirrels are champions of the forest. They are craftier than beavers, smarter than foxes, and swifter than rabbits. They are also full of mischief. When it got to be too cold outside, the squirrels would drop through Forkwire's mail slot and visit him at home. They'd warm themselves by the fire and finish the old man's crossword puzzles. When Forkwire woke up, he'd chase them out with a broom, and then he'd shake his old man fist and yell, "Those darn squirrels!" Old Man Forkwire thought spring would never come, but eventually the forest bloomed and the birds returned from their winter vacation. Whirly birds chomped on tumbleberries, bonga birds snacked on honey snaps, and the flugel birds ate farfel seeds until he got so full he had to lay down. Forkwire danced through the yard with delight. He set up his easel and brushes, and then he painted the birds till he got blisters on his fingers. Tired and happy, the old man went inside for a quiet afternoon snack. Suddenly, kaboom! Old Man Forkwire spilled cottage cheese all over his suspenders. Kablam! The flugelbird fell out of his nest. Kabflooey! The squirrels had to restart their annual chess tournament. The noise was coming from the house across the stream. It was the sound of a small woman unloading enormous crates and moving in. Forkwire's new neighbor was little old Lady Who, the town baker. The only thing sweeter than the pies Who baked was the little old lady herself. Everyone in town loved her, but no one could stand her cat Muffins. He was a real jerk. Who didn't see things that way? She thought Muffins was a cuddly honey bunny, but after the infamous poodle attack, she decided to move to the forest so that her cat could make some new friends. After unpacking her crates, little old Lady Who baked a tumbleberry pie. Then she and Muffins went to say hello to their new neighbor. Forkwire despised conversation, so he hid behind the drapes. The squirrels were scared of the cats, so they hid inside of the drain pipes. The birds weren't sure why everyone was hiding, but they stuffed themselves down the chimney just to be safe. Eventually, Who got tired of waiting for Forkwire to answer the door. She walked around front and pushed the pie through the mail slot and then went home. Normally, Old Man Forkwire hated pie, but this one smelled delicious. He took a deep whiff and closed his eyes, and when he opened them, the squirrels were licking the plate clean. "Those darn squirrels!" Forkwire shouted. Full and happy, the squirrels stumbled from the house where Muffins ambushed them. The dastardly cat grabbed one squirrel and gave him a wet willy, and snatched another and gave her a noogie. And then he tied two squirrels' tails together. Luckily, little old Lady Who returned before Muffins could do more. She scooped him up and scratched him under the chin. "Come now, Snookum," she cooed. "It's time for your dinner. You can play with your new friends another day." The next morning, Muffins burst into the yard, terrifying the birds and interrupting Old Man Forkwire's painting. Then the sneaky cat pounced on an unsuspecting group of squirrels. He gave them all wedgies. Not an easy thing to do, because generally squirrels do not wear underpants. The squirrels were furious, and the birds flew up to the treetops, and they refused to come down. And Old Man Forkwire was so upset, he wrote a letter to the mayor to complain about his neighbors. That night, the squirrels held a meeting to figure out what to do about the cat next door. They ate cheese puffs and drank ginger ale to help them think. Finally, they had it. The perfect plan. When Muffins came over the next day, the birds were feeding peacefully beneath the tree. A wicked smile came across the cat's fluffy face. He wriggled his haunches and launched himself through the air. The frightened birds swooped into the sky, yanking the strings the squirrels had tied to their tail feathers. The strings sprang the trap, and the cat was doused with a gallon of freezing cold water, and Muffins let out a furious yell. Old Man Forkwire ran outside when he heard the terrible noise. "Great googly moogly!" he exclaimed. "That pathetic wretch is no bigger than a squirrel." It was true. Underneath all his fluff and fuzz, Muffins was nothing but a skinky malink. He lowered his head in embarrassment and sloshed his way home as fast as he could. The squirrels' plan had worked perfectly. They gave each other high fives. The Baba bird snickered, the Yabba birds chuckled, the Flugel bird enjoyed a hearty guffaw, and Forkwire snapped his suspenders with delight. "Those darn squirrels," he said fondly. Old Man Forkwire never warmed up to his new neighbors. He was a grump after all. But little old Lady Who became quite good chums with the birds and the squirrels. Each Saturday when the bakery closed, she brought all the unsold cakes and pies and cookies home. She set them out on her picnic table, and everyone gathered for a delicious, fun-filled feast. Everyone except the cat next door, who refused to leave the house ever again. The end. I hope you enjoyed Those Darn Squirrels and the Cat Next Door by Adam Rubin. All right, so now on to the next craft. I'm going to show you how to make a material poof for your dog or your cat. Now really the only difference between the dog and cat one is that if it's a dog, you'll make it a little bigger. For a cat, you'll want to make it a little smaller so they can kind of swat it around the room a little bit. So you have the rest of your t-shirt from your dog chew toy left over, and I lay it flat just like this. The part we're going to use this time is the arms, so we're going to cut both arms off, just like this. This is a pretty simple craft that doesn't require a lot. So I've got one sleeve there, one sleeve there, and this will be a great dog toy if you have a really small dog too. The dog chew toy might be a little large if you have a small dog. So we're going to take this piece and we're going to set it aside for another craft. So we have our two sleeves here. And what you're going to do is just cut some strips. Just like so. You can cut them as skinny or as fat as you might like. If you have a cat, I would suggest cutting them skinnier because that'll make your poof a little bit poofier. If you have a dog, you might want to cut them a little wider. Just depends. I do have a cat at home, so I'm going to try to cut it as skinny as possible. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. I don't think you'll get any complaints from your dogs or cats. So once you have these all cut out, I'm just gonna do this one sleeve. Now, I'm gonna just do one sleeve so our video isn't too long, but you're more than welcome to cut up both sleeves into strips, like I'm showing, just like this. And you want to cut through the bottom and the top. They don't have to be perfectly straight, as you can see. And So once you have all your strips cut, they're kind of little circles like this. We want them to be strips though, so you're going to cut each end and put them in a pile like so. So as you cut them, just cut each end like that. And there we go. And 1 and 2. And like I said, you would cut up both sleeves to make the poof a little bit fatter. You can cut them even if you want, or leave them all different lengths. It doesn't really matter. So, all right. So, one more here. So if you're doing it for a dog, I would suggest leaving them the same length here. But if you're doing it for a cat, like I'm doing right now, I'm going to cut it in half. Cut them. You can try doing them all at once. You may have to do them one at a time. I have some scissors that can cut through some pretty thick things. So I can do them all at once, but you may find that the scissors you have aren't able to do that. And if you have a little bit of string left over from your last project, like I did, or you can just use one of these, what you're going to do is take all of your little shreds there, place them on your larger string there, going the opposite direction, and we're just going to tie it. You could make 1 or 2 out of the sleeves. It really just depends on how big you want to make the poof. But you just tie it as tight as you can, like that. Do it once more, just so they don't all come apart. And maybe, there we go. And there's, and ta-da! Then I'm going to cut this really long part off, just like that. And you have a fun little poof that your cat can knock about the room and move from here or there. Or your dog, for that matter. Especially if it's a little dog, it'll like those nice long stringy bits to carry around the room. So that's how you make your dog or cat t-shirt material poof. Enjoy. This book is Plenty of Love to Go Around by Emma Chichester Clark. I am Plum, the one and only special Plum. Emma and Rupert are my family and I just love them. When they say I am their special one, I feel loved all over. Sam and Gracie live next door. They are my best friends, and I am their best one and only. But one day, Gracie said, "We've got a surprise for you, Plum." "This is Binky," said Sam. "He was holding a cat. Cats are not my favorite thing." "He loves you, Plum. Don't you love him?" asked Gracie. "We love him," said Sam. "I was so happy to go to the park. The park is just for dogs." "I say," said my friend Esther, "is that cat with you? I couldn't believe it." "Who your new friend? Asked Rocket. He's not my friend, I said. Well, he's following you, said Bean. Scat cat, I said. When I got home, guess who was there? It was nice to have a cat around, said Emma. No, it isn't. It isn't. The cat followed me everywhere. Sniffed where I sniffed, rolled where I rolled, peed when I peed, stretched when I stretched. I couldn't get away. Look at poor Plum. I went to the shed to hide, but the cat followed me there too. When the door slammed shut, we were stuck. Meow, he said, and off he went. Cats, I said. Now no one will ever find me. Poor Plum stuck in the shed. But I was wrong about that because Binky came back with Sam and Gracie. Silly Plum, said Gracie. Binky saved you, said Sam. They told Emma and Rupert. Clever Binky, said Rupert. He's so clever, said Sam. He's just a cat. Nothing special about that. Oh, look at Binky, said Gracie as he ran up the tree. He can do anything, said Sam. It's true. It's really true, I thought. Now Binky was the special one. I thought he was a show-off, clever Clog's cat. He's ruining everything, I told Esther. Have you tried being friends? Asked Jakey. I can't be friends with a cat, I told Bean. What if they love him more than they love me? Asked Rocket. I asked Rocket. Oh, there's plenty of love to go around, he said. But I wasn't sure. Sam and Gracie were watching TV. The cat was outside. He came back when he saw me. So I pushed the door shut and leaned against the cat flap. Stop following me, I told him. Stay out till I say so. Do you think Plum's being mean to the cat? I guarded the door. Then it started to rain. I couldn't leave him out in the rain, could I? But was there enough love to go around? Was there? Just then, Emma and Rupert came. They found little Binky, and then they saw me in front of the cat flap. I looked at Emma, and she looked at me. She knew what I had done. Now, Plummy said, Emma said, you will always be my special one, but you're going to have to be nice to the cat. There's room in our hearts for him and for you. You've got a big heart, haven't you, Plummy, said Emma. And suddenly I could feel it growing. It grew bigger and bigger. I have a big heart. I do. And now I know there's enough love for two. In fact, there's plenty of love to go around and around. Yes, there's plenty of love to go around. The end. I hope you enjoyed Plenty of Love to Go Around. So this is your cat toy door dangler that you can make here. It's pretty simple. Feel free to do whatever you'd like with your white bit here. If you want to use some of the stickers included to stick all over that, you can. You should be able to take a marker as well and decorate it up and draw on it if you would like to. And then you have your little bits and pieces here. There's a little bell with a ribbon on it. And after you have it decorated, and once you have it decorated, give it a chance to dry so that it can just set up like that. You'll just feed the pieces through here, make a nice knot, And then each piece will dangle down. And then it should be all ready for your cat. Now, be sure to make sure nothing is falling off before you let your cat play with it each time. We got some neat little paper circles here and things like that. And the more your cat plays with it, the more it'll need replaced. And if these wear out, you can feel free to use any kind of stringed thing you want to put in there. Move the bell over to a new string, put some new ribbon from it. You really can keep it fresh and keep it going, and your cat should enjoy playing with that. So enjoy putting it together, decorating it, and hanging it over your doorknob. Take a look at the instructions on the envelope, and those will help you out as well. You can always cut some of the strings shorter if you want, so you have some shorter, some longer. Feel free to be as creative as you like. Thanks. Enjoy. This story is called My Crocodile Does Not Bite by Joe Colcott. All the kids on Ernest's block had brought their pets to the bus stop, hoping to win the annual pet show. I don't know why you all even bothered to bring those mangy animals. My dog Fifi is obviously going to win the ribbon, declared Cindy Lou. Her little poodle growled in agreement. Ernest showed up that morning with a gigantic crocodile tied to a rope. That's the ugliest dog I ever saw, said Cindy Lou. He's not a dog, he's a crocodile. His name is Gustav, said Ernest. What a stupid pet, said Cindy Lou. You can't bring him to school. He'll bite everybody. Today's the school pet show, said Ernest. If you can bring your dog, I can bring my crocodile. Besides, my crocodile does not bite. He's very well trained. Can your dog do this? And Ernest snapped his fingers. Of course my dog can sit. She just doesn't want to, said Cindy Lou. The bus pulled up. Mr. Bus Driver, Cindy Lou cried, you can't let that crocodile on the bus. It will bite everybody. My crocodile does not bite, Ernest said. He's very well trained. He'll just sit quietly on the floor like this. And then Ernest clapped his hands. Sorry, Ernest, said the bus driver. I'm afraid I can't let you bring your reptile onto the bus. He just won't fit. Ernest smiled back. Not a problem. Ernest climbed onto the neck of his crocodile. He waved as he rode off, yelling, I bet we even get there first. And Gustav skittered across lawns and through vegetable patches. Ernest and his crocodile easily beat the bus to the school. Cindy Lou came running off the bus to find a group of children petting Gustav. Stay away, that monster bites, she warned. My crocodile does not bite, said Ernest. He's very well trained. Look at what he can do. Ernest whistled, and the crocodile ran over and gave him a hug. Big deal. My dog comes when I call her too. She just doesn't want to right now, said Cindy Lou. Okay, but can your dog do this? Ernest pulled 3 tennis balls from his pocket, and Gustav started wagging his tail. Big deal. Your crocodile eats tennis balls, sighed Cindy Lou. Keep watching, said Ernest. Ernest clapped his hands twice, and Gustav spit the tennis balls high into the air. There's more, exclaimed Ernest, and then he reached further into his backpack and pulled out a unicycle. Everyone cheered. The principal, Mrs. Brown, laughed and danced. I forgot his hat and harmonica, said Ernest. Cindy Lou just glowered. As the crocodile pedaled by Cindy Lou, she swiftly kicked the unicycle. Gustav came crashing down and tennis balls flying everywhere. Cindy Lou, that was a nasty, mean, dirty trick, said Mrs. Brown. It was an accident. I was afraid the crocodile was going to bite me, Cindy Lou replied. Ernest looked worried. I think Gustav swallowed his harmonica, and my crocodile does not bite. He's very well trained. Watch this. And Ernest tapped on Gustav's snout, and the crocodile opened his huge jaws, and everyone cheered, except for Cindy Lou, of course. Look, they got the harmonica back out. Wow, Ernest, said the principal, that is a really well-trained crocodile. Cindy Lou couldn't take it any more. Look, everyone, my pet does tricks too. Fetch, Fifi. And this time Fifi listened, but Cindy Lou's tennis ball bounced off the school wall and rolled right into Gustav's open mouth. Cindy Lou ran over and kicked the crocodile. Stupid reptile, give me my dog back. She got down on her hands and knees and crawled inside the crocodile's mouth. Fifi, get out of there! Suddenly, Gustav lifted his head up into the air. With one big gulp, he swallowed up Cindy Lou. See, said Ernest, my crocodile does not bite. He swallows his food whole. There was some disagreement later whether Ernest had clapped twice before the crocodile gulped down Cindy Lou. There was no disagreement, however, that Gustav was indeed one well-trained crocodile. The end. I hope you enjoyed My Crocodile Does Not Bite. So for our last little bonus toy you can make for your dog, kind of a dog tug toy, if you will, you're going to take the rest of your t-shirt you have left over here. Mine's still attached on two sides. If yours isn't, it isn't a big deal, because we're just going to cut it anyway. So I'm going to cut where it's attached so that it's one piece like this. Now, I'm going to go ahead and take this tag out too, because I don't want that to come off later and my dog to get that in its mouth. So once I have the last piece here, all you do is you kind of take it rectangularly, and then you're just going to tie some knots in it. It's pretty simple. So there's one. And then I'm going to make another one here. Doesn't have to be perfect. You can put as many knots in it as you want. Just give it a good tug like that. And I'm going to put one more on this end. And there's that. And I have room to make one little tiny one on this end. So I'm going to do that. And we have used almost the entire shirt to make all of our little toys here. So that's the little bonus toy you can make. If you have a dog that likes to tug, I'm sure they'll like tugging on that. Thanks. Have a good day.